Welcome back to Commodity Wrap. Tommy Grisafi sitting in for Tony St. James. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting in for Tony. He's down in Decatur at the Farm Progress Show, but we're going to head out to Mr. Brian Hoops. Brian is president of Midwest Market Solutions. B. Hoops in the set, live. What's going on, my friend?
Well, Tommy, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. There is just not a lot going on in the grain markets right now. I think everybody's kind of catching their breath from the not only USDA reports, but the pro-farmer numbers, and looking ahead to maybe some harvest activity, maybe another week or so. I've heard some clients, Omaha, as far north as Omaha, talking about planting or harvesting corn next week. So we may start to hear a little bit of field reports across the Midwest sometime after Labor Day.
And that's probably adding to that front month pressure as we come in the first notice day, right? The SEP contracts all did pretty poorly.
Yeah, I think SEPs are going to give up a little bit of ground here in the days ahead. Basis levels seem to be really weakening. A lot of the merchandisers are rolling out of the September contracts to December, widening their basis levels out so that they can bid off December and keep the cash price effectively the same, because there is so much carry from September to December. So, yeah, September is going to take a little bit of pressure here, a little bit of heat. Going to weigh on, I think, on basis. When we start that harvesting segments, we start getting some of the crop into the pipelines, there'll be some usage for that, some decent demand for it. But as that starts to build up, that's when I think the basis hit will be the hardest, and that's when we'll see the big lines at the elevators trying to unload their trucks. At that point in time, that's when you'll see your widest basis. That's a good time for end users to step in and try and lock in some cash product for the year, because basis, I think, could narrow up after that, but it's going to probably get a lot worse before that basis gets a lot better.
So kind of an unanswerable question, but you led into it. Well, how do we get people by? How do we do triage here when we have too many bushels and folks up north lost some bins? I mean, we're blessed with a big crop and we're upset about it? I mean, that can't be right.
Yeah, you don't want to be upset about a big crop, but there is a lot of producers telling us that they may have to resort to storage outside on the ground type storage. Even some elevators have talked about doing that this year, just because this big, massive harvest is expected to come. And of course, it hits all at once, and you just don't have space for it all to go. You try and get it out of the fields before bad weather come or animals take it down. So you got to do something with it. It's probably going to get put on the ground, just not quite enough storage. But I think producers that have invested in storage facilities over the last several years are going to be very handsomely rewarded this year. There's not only likely to see basis improvement, but they're also likely to be able to sell the carry that they have. We mentioned from SEP to DEES, but going out to March, there's more carry, and out to May and July, there's even another 35 cents of carry that producers can sell and lock in if they have their own on-farm storage.
Yeah, you're either paying an elevator to store your grain or you are an elevator. There is no in the middle. In the old days, elevators used to be able to turn grain around a lot of times. They're getting like one shot to buy it right at harvest. Is that correct?
Kind of seems that way. Yeah, the way it goes anymore is they get that one shot at harvest, and it does seem like the last couple of years that there's been almost a second harvest in the summer. Late in the summer, producers this year it didn't really work out for them, but in the last several years it has, where they've held on into the summer, and you get a summer rally. They've been able to unload a lot of the crop during that summer rally, and almost like a second harvest for some of these elevators. But when you get the bin doors slam shut in the fall, winter months, and going through winter, and you're in North Dakota or Iowa, and the roads are iced over, you really don't want to be out on the road with a semi hauling grain to town. So it's really, elevators are going to have to really offer a large incentive for those producers to get out, start their trucks in the cold weather, and move that grain, because you're going to have to really incentivize the producer to do that.
And that's what legendary grain elevator managers or people who help manage bushels. I was talking to my good friends over at Orchard Point Partners. I don't know if you know them, but they came down to Nashville, and a bunch of good guys from Central Illinois who help elevators manage grain. They call it a handle. Can the elevator get a handle on the grain? And farmers have been able to hold it a lot longer, right, Brian?
Absolutely. That's absolutely the case. Producers have been investing their gains from recent years into more storage at on-farm storage facilities. That's something that we've seen a big improvement over, I'd say, in the last 15 to 20 years, is investing in storage because they know that return on investment can pay dividends not only in 1 year, but for years to come.
All right, you stay right there. We're talking with Mr. Brian Hoof, President of Midwest Market Solutions. My name's Tommy Grisafi. You can find my podcast at Agville, but this week you're finding me at RFD all week. We'll be right back with more Commodity Wrap right after this. Welcome back to Commodity Wrap. Tommy Grisafi sitting in for Tony St. James. Well, it's been an active week here. We are live at the RFD TV studios in Nashville, Tennessee. We have one of the best in the industry. Call him a friend of the show, a big fan favorite, Mr. Brian Hoops, President, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, let's talk markets. Let's talk cattle. What are you seeing out there in the livestock? I noticed we had a big range today.
Yeah, pretty large range, pretty much all to the upside, not a lot of volatility to the downside. Of course, we've seen steady to slightly lower prices get bought up pretty quickly because there's so much buying interest in these markets. And some of that is fresh buying. Some of it is some short covering where traders are kind of just getting blown out or getting out of the way of some of these hedges in here. Maybe we're starting to see the first sign that this Labor Day buying interest has been completed. Boxes have been moving higher on Monday and Tuesday of this week, but at Wednesday here at midday, choice was down 208, select was off 292. At some point this week, that buying interest is going to subside for Labor Day. It'll be all completed. Then we're left with consumers without much of a grilling season. Certainly going to get colder in the Midwest, and that'll cut down on grilling into the fall and the winter months. At some point, demand is going to start to soften. We know that. We just don't know when that will be, but I got to think we're probably getting close. If we see cutout values continue to work their way lower, I think that will soften up some of these cash bids in a week, maybe 2 weeks. Maybe we get past Labor Day, we start to see this market stabilize or even start to trade lower. And of course, when we've seen the market trade lower, it's not been just small amounts. It's been huge movement as there's large amounts of profit taking being done in this market. It's a very wide swinging market. And I think that will be the case here coming up soon. In the next several weeks, we could see more volatility and not less volatility.
Yeah, one thing, and maybe I'm weird, that is a possibility, but I have natural gas grill hooked up to my house, and I also have a new Traeger, so I'm pretty up. It better be a blizzard for I'm not going out there and grilling. There's many times I've went out there with a hat and maybe a warm cup of hot chocolate or a beverage of choice and grilled in the winter. So things be changing with these smoker grills. Anything to add to that?
I'm in your camp. I'm down here in the southern southwest Missouri area. We grill all year long, and weather's nice enough down here you can do that, no problem. I was thinking more of my time in Iowa and South Dakota where it's really cold, it's really windy, and the grill's not going to fire up. So there's areas of the country I think that will lose some of that demand. But where I'm at, where you're at, we're going to keep fueling the cattle market and beef prices all year long.
Well, we can't leave out our friends in hogs or anyone listening to the show. Chickens, poultry, we know Beyond Beef didn't make it. It's down to its last couple dollars of value, and not even sure why it has that. Although I've eaten vegetable burgers before. I've eaten stuff like that, and I don't mind it. I just prefer beef, chicken, pork, turkey, all the yummies.
Yes, I'm in your camp. I love good pork chops, chicken breasts, a good steak, but you're not going to catch me eating Beyond Meat or Beyond Burgers or whatever you want to call it. No way.
Well, we used to call them veggie burgers. Let's be specific. They were veggie burgers. There's vegetarians. 2, 3, 4% of the population doesn't like meat. They deserve a right thing, but to try to go educate the general American public that we got this new thing, it's just like beef. Matter of fact, it's Beyond Beef, and then they say it's healthy for you and has 18 ingredients. It gets my blood pressure going.
Yeah, I hear you. I completely understand what you're talking about here, Tommy. We're looking at no cash cattle trade yet this week. I think we're probably going to see a little late week cash trade. The market's dialing in higher money again this week because the showless numbers are down. I think we watch the cutouts. That'll kind of give us a direction. If those cutouts are softer, cash may not be as strong as originally thought earlier in the week.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you trying to get up-to-date information for the average Joe out there, someone listening to this show, what's the best way to get, is it the USDA website? What do you have dialed in?
Yeah, you can check out the USDA website. There's a lot of things, a lot of places to go, such as that. I know there's different websites around the country that'll give you different sources of information as far as the cutouts. We like to put those out on our Twitter feed at Midwest Markets. We try to update all the cutouts, all the important fundamental information, slaughter pace, all that, is going to tell you different things about the markets rather than just looking at charts all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, people want to get a hold of you, Brian. What's the best way to do that over there? As Brian Hoops is president of Midwest Market Solutions, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can find us at our website and sign up for our Twitter feed, Midwest Markets, Brian Hoops, at our website, which is MidwestMarketSolutions.com. You can call me directly at 417-501-5132. Of
course, they can hear you on Rural Radio Channel 147. They can also watch you on RFD TV Market Day Report. You always come prepared. You have those first hits in the morning. That's not my favorite time, that 8:15 or 8:45, but you are always prepared, and I enjoy watching you myself, my friend. So keep up the good work.
Appreciate that a lot, buddy. Take care. You have a great day.
Thank you.